Not bad. How you doing?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, November 13th, 2018. Roll call.
Supervisor Murray.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Phelps.
Here.
Councilman Kiefer.
Here.
Councilman Whiteman.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing. Dear Heavenly Father, be with this town tonight as we do the business of the town of Fremont. Take care of all those that are traveling from a long ways away to attend this meeting. Make sure they get home safely when it's all done. And please take care of our men and women who are fighting for this country right now. Amen. If you please stay standing, we're going to do a moment of silence for Robert Raymond. Robert passed away on October 15, 2018. Robert worked closely with the town over the past year with the Barron Wind Project. He was the guy that worked for Hunt Engineers. So if you please bow your head for a moment of silence. Thank you. We'd really like to recognize our veterans that are here tonight. Any veterans, would you please stand up if you're a veteran? Thanks, guys.
So right now we'll move on to old business. Were there any changes or corrections for the minutes from the public hearing on October 9th, 2018?
I move to be accepted as read.
Roll call.
Whiteman.
Aye.
Phelps.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Kiefer.
Aye.
Murray.
Aye.
5 ayes, 0 nays, and 0 abstained.
Were there any changes to the minutes from the regular board meeting, October 9th, 2018?
And we accept them as read.
Roll call.
Murray.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Phelps.
Aye.
Kiefer.
Aye.
Whiteman.
Aye.
5 ayes, 0 nays, and 0 abstained.
At this time, we will go into the reports. First report is from Justice Farley. There was no court held on Monday, October 8th, 2018, it's in observance of Columbus Day. Otherwise, court is held every Monday. October 11th, I attended the Steuben County Magistrates meeting, at which time Judge Roach spoke on rise to age and orders of protection. Attached, please find the information related to my monthly submission report to the State Comptroller Justice Court Fund. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, Justice Farley. Next report is from the Assessor, Holly Small. Dear board members, the following report will bring you up to date on the activities of the Assessor's Office. This month, I've been processing monthly transfers, escrows, and other miscellaneous administrative duties. As I stated last month, there are many changes to exemptions for property owners age 65 and over for 2019. The New York State Department of Taxation and Finance has been sending us weekly updates on implementing these changes. I am continuing to work on renewal exemptions and will be sending renewals and a cover letter to the property owners that will be impacted by these changes over the next few months. I attended training on November 2nd. The class was Article 7, how to go to court, but win if you have to. I received 6 credit hours for continuing education. It was very beneficial class with lots of questions and answers. There was a guest tax certification attorney that attended the class half the day along with the instructor that was very informative. October 17th, I attended our monthly Assessor Association meeting. Once again, if there are any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me, Holly Small. Next report is from the Code Enforcement Officer, John Leonard. On 10/4, he attended a county code meeting. 10/17, a code seminar on Windows. 10/23, permit to re-roof entire house, no one home, State Route 21. 10/28, a pool permit, State Route 21, inside inspection of building projects on Cream Hill. 10/29, Fremont Town Hall, application not complete for porn shop, new electric service. 70A, permit for a 24 by 51 by 12 storage building. And Hungry Hollow Road, no change in building projects. And then on October 1st, a county code meeting, quarter share. And we traveled 249 miles for the month. Next up is the dog control report from Deborah Matthews. October 5th, dog at large, County Route 70A. October 12th, barking complaints, County Route 21. October 26th, monthly county dog control meeting, Avoca Town Clerk. And then the highway report from Jeff Moore. All the trucks are ready for the snow, checked equipment and put away for winter. Finished putting up the snow fence. The metal is on the garage roof. They still have a little bit more work to go. And then he's been plowing and sanding the roads. And the final report is from the Fremont Volunteer Fire Department. The Fremont Volunteer Fire Department recently applied for and received a $200,000 grant for purchase of a new rescue truck that will replace a 31-year-old truck. The fire department has also been awarded a $92,000 grant for the purchase of air packs, compressor, and cascade system to refill air bottles. In addition, in 2012, a $330,000 grant was awarded for truck replacement. In 2013, a grant of $67,000 was obtained for equipment purchase. While the application process for grants is very labor intensive, these grants help maintain the volunteer fire department without taxpayer impact. Thank you, Gary Dye, Chief. And there's a nice article in the Spectator if anyone would like to see it on their grant. So I'll have that up here.
What day is that?
That is Wednesday, October 24th.
Okay.
So right now, we have Jamie Johnson here to give us an update on the pilot for the Barren Winds project. Would you like the podium?
Oh, I don't think I need the podium, I can just stand up.
Sure.
That way I don't have to get formal behind. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to the board and the residents, and I apologize if my back's to any of you. I've been in discussions with the supervisor and others over the course of the last few months about how the pilot process works for wind development. And I wanted to come tonight and just give everybody an update and let you know how we calculate the pilot and how the financing and funding flows as the wind projects develop. First off, I did see that there was a a sample that I provided up front. This is just an example of how it's calculated. At this point, we have not gotten an application from the Barron project. We do fully expect to get an application sometime likely in the first quarter of next year, and begin reviewing and acting on that throughout the first half of the year, in anticipation of having the IDA act and make a decision to coincide with the Article 10 process. So at this point, what you see in front of you is just, for purposes of understanding how the pilot is structured and how the funds are distributed. You should know that per New York State law, IDAs are required to distribute the funding that we receive through pilot based on the distribution formula that is outlined and developed for the total tax rate, meaning that out of all the taxes that are collected, whatever portion of those taxes the town tax makes up, we distribute that amount to the town. There is a process where we can deviate from that, and we have in the past, but our policy is and has been for the last 7 years that we do not deviate from that policy. Reason being is once the property tax cap went into place, it became much more difficult for taxing entities to take that tax revenue and adjust it and keep their tax cap formula in line. So it was a decision of the board about 7 years ago that we would reduce our total property tax pilot that we would charge to wind projects and allow for the ability for wind developers to negotiate host community agreements with the individual towns that we were in. And that's important because we get a lot of questions about the Cohocton projects and the Cohocton pilots. Those were some of the original pilots that the IDA did prior to me taking the position here. And at that point in time, wind development and pilot distribution was something that was relatively new to New York State. So understanding and trying to make sure that the pilots were fair and equitable to the communities was very important to the IDA. And at that time, the thought process was that we would increase the pilot amount and then change that distribution formula to give the communities more revenue than others. As that tax cap calculation went into place, again, it became much more difficult to get everyone to agree. And at one point, we even had one of the school districts say, don't ask us to deviate from this policy, because if you do, we aren't going to approve it. And that is another critical aspect of the deviation policy, is we have to get all of the taxing entities to agree to deviate. So it's been the decision of the board that at this point in time, we don't deviate from the formula that is set in place. And but we have reduced the pilot that we charge in order to allow for that host community agreement to be negotiated between the municipality and the project. So how the process works, we charge $5,300 per megawatt, and that's a per rated megawatt. So whatever the plate rating is for the turbine, that's how we calculate it. It's not based on how much energy that's generated. It's how much the project is approved for. And then that $5,300, then it has a 2% increment each year. So every year that will go up by 2% for the life of the pilot, which our wind pilots are 20 years. Using the Fremont community taxes as an example, as you can see from the sheet that was passed out to you, right now the town makes up 28.06% of the total tax formula. So if you take a look at a proposed project of 38 turbines in the town, and if those turbines generated 3.5 megawatts per turbine, that would generate over $704,000 in pilot revenue to be distributed amongst the various taxing entities, which include the town, the county, and the school district. Out of that $704,000, the town would earn $197,793 of that. Again, that's an annual amount. That's money that comes right from the town as part of the pilot distribution. That then would go up by 2% each year, and you can see the increments in this example. Now keep in mind, this is just an example. This is just a calculation based on some assumptions that we've made. So as the project gets finalized and we understand the number of turbines, the number of total megawatts, then these numbers will be adjusted accordingly. So when we issue our final approval, assuming that we do, there will be a schedule that will be provided to the town, and you will know every year exactly how much revenue you will be receiving from the total pilot. Another question that comes up is how often we assess our pilot formulas. This is done about once every 2 years. We did this about a year ago where we actually did an assessment of pilots throughout the state of New York. And what we found is that we're about an average number as far as the middle of the road as far as other communities are. But one of the things you have to look at with those other communities is the fact that some of those communities actually still take the deviation model, and they still will work to try to deviate. So there is not a host community agreement that is part of any project that will go on in some of these other communities. Those host community agreements are basically built into the pilot. That's a little bit of a crapshoot in our minds at the IDA, because you have to assume that even though you deviate in year one, if you adjust your taxes over the course of whatever period of time the pilot revenue is, then the amount of revenue that you will receive on an annual basis could go up or down. So for example, if you were to decrease your taxes by 10% in the town of Fremont, you'll be getting less revenue in the following year, because the town's tax rate will make up a smaller percentage of the total taxes. So that's something that as the town looks at their finances from year to year, you have to understand that per New York state law, as your tax rate adjusts compared to other communities, then our pilot distribution formula adjusts as well. So that's only on the pilot. The nice thing about a host community agreement situation is while the pilot will deviate up and down, or the distribution will deviate up and down, the host community agreement is revenue that comes directly to the community and does not get impacted by that adjustment in taxes. So just a couple of nuances of the pilot distribution formula, and something that the town would have to be aware of. That's in a nutshell how the pilot process works. We do expect to receive an application from the project based on their schedule sometime in the first quarter of 2019, at which point we're going to assess the economic benefit to the community, go through our process, and expect to take action on it later in the year as the Article 10 process plays out. At this point, we can't speak specifically to the project. We don't have an application. We've been following the Article 10 process. We have talked to the project sponsors and are fully aware where the community is in the process, where the project is, and we're just waiting for the application from the IDA. I'd be happy to answer any questions, provide any additional information. That's how the pilot process works, and this is an example of the revenue that will possibly be generated in the community.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Absolutely, that's why I'm here.
So this is basically set up to make sure that we keep raising our taxes along with the county and the school district, right?
It's an impact of how the distribution process works. So if you look at other communities that have wind pilots, there's a wide range of how they've handled this. Cohocton, for example, took all of their all their pilot revenue and decreased their taxes and completely lowered their taxes. Several years went by, and suddenly they realized that the pilot revenue, because they decreased their taxes, they were getting less pilot revenue because of the distribution formula. And again, this is structured in New York state law. So the town of Cohocton, had to raise their taxes again after they lowered their taxes, and residents were not very pleased with that. Howard took a little bit of a different example, and this is really a tale of two communities. Howard's process is that they decided that they were going to hold the line on their taxes, which when you factored in the 2% increase in the pilot revenue, and they're holding the line on taxes, it really didn't impact their distribution rate that much. And then they took the wind revenue and they've made the decision to invest it in infrastructure, roads, highway barns, new equipment, those types of costs that have to be assumed typically by the town budget. So their distribution rate has not changed or adjusted nearly as much as the other communities like Cohocton. So it is something that as a town board you've got to be very aware of, that even though you may your initial reaction may be to reduce property taxes across the board. The way the tax cap formula